Cleveland, stay at home, wash your hands, and prepare yourselves for the ScareAntine. I am proud to present this special mini-season of B-Movie Mayhem, where I show off some of my favorite movies of all time. We're still at work on season 2, and we plan on bringing that to you in these next few months. If you want to see the full lineup, here it is. They will be coming to your eyeballs very, very soon. In the meantime, though, tonight, my friends, I have a special treat for you. This movie is not just a great movie. It is the wellspring from which horror, as well as every other genre we love here on B-Movie Mayhem, comes from. I am talking, of course, of the Cabinet of Dr. Caligari. Yes, it is a silent movie, but it is the silent movie. It is, of course, a German expressionistic film. And Expressionism was a movement that prioritized showing emotional turmoil over realism. Now in this case, we have a twisted and jagged set, and there are light and shadows all over the place, including several that were painted on. This would be a thing we would see in further expressionistic films. Now these movies were often made in response to World War I, and they dealt with themes of insanity, betrayal, and mistrust of authority. You'll see those themes in this movie, particularly in the ways that authority tries to take advantage of people's state of mind and gaslights them. Why does that seem so familiar? Anyways, many expressionistic films include such classics like Metropolis, M, Vampire, The Golem, and of course, Nosferatu. These movies would influence Hollywood, as German and Austrian filmmakers left Germany during World War II. This included directors like Fritz Lang, Otto Preminger, and Billy Wilder. Directors who left earlier, a little before World War II, included directors like F.W. Murnau and Edgar G. Ulmer. Ulmer you'll remember, of course, from our previous episode of Detour. Now, horror and noir were the genres most influenced. And later on, of course, these movies greatly influenced Tim Burton. You'll see that influence all over the place tonight. Noir-influenced science fiction movies were also heavily influenced. I'm talking about the likes of Blade Runner and Dark City. Caligari still stands out. Nothing looks quite as twisted as this movie. So twisted and so false and unreal. From the sets to the acting, all the way to the original intertitles in German. It's all so mind-blowingly crazy. So strap in, get your therapist in on a Zoom meeting, and prepare yourselves for the Cabinet of Dr. Caligari. Caligari's screenwriters were Karl Mayer and Hermann Janowitz. Both were avowed pacifists. Janowitz was an officer during World War I, and Mayer actually managed to avoid conscription into the army by acting insane, literally. The two of them wrote the script together over 6 weeks. Now, through director Fritz Lang, they met Eric Palmer of Decla Studios. They pestered him until he agreed to meet with them. And during that meeting, Mayer read the entire script to him. Palmer loved it so much, he signed them to a contract worth 6,000 marks. We'll be right back with more here on TV 20.
Hi, I'm TV20's Dan Monroe. During this time of crisis, the Domestic Violence and Child Advocacy Center wants you to know that they are maintaining critical services while balancing the health and safety of their clients, staff, and community. As always, the DVCAC's helpline is available for safety planning and crisis intervention by calling or texting 216-391-HELP. That's 216-391-4357. If you need help or are concerned about someone in your life, you can live chat with a specialist at dvcac.org. During this time of crisis, the Emergency Domestic Violence Shelter is operating. Advocates will continue to work with victims, therapists will still be supporting clients, and the Canopy Child Advocacy Center will continue to serve children being abused. For more information, visit the Domestic Violence and Child Advocacy Center's website at dvcac.org. Thank you.
The film's design was created by Herman Warm, Walter Reimann, and Walter Rohrig. All were involved with Der Sturm, an influential German art and literature magazine. Now, it's in dispute whether the three of them totally came up with the look by themselves or whether it was director Robert Wiene. Regardless, Wiene filmed a scene in the style they wanted to make, and it impressed the producers so much they were given free rein over the entire design. Warm worked on the sets, Rohrig painted, and Reimann created the costumes. Now, all three continued to work on movies for several years. Notably, Warm worked with Carl Theodor Dreyer on The Passion of Joan of Arc and Vampire. Let's go back to Cabinet of Dr. Caligari. Born April 27, 1873, director Robert Wiene was one of the most prominent expressionistic directors. He worked in Germany until he fled Hungary in 1934. After that, he went to England and then off to France. He tried to make a sound remake of Dr. Caligari while in France, but it ended up not working out. His other influential horror film was 1924's The Hands of Orlok. The movie is about a concert pianist who loses his hands and gets them replaced with a murderer's hands. The pianist is then overcome with a desire to kill. This was remade twice, once as Mad Love in 1935 and again as The Hands of Orlok in 1960. This was the inspiration for several other films, including Hands of a Stranger in 1962 and Body Parts in 1991. We'll be right back with more here on the ScareAntine.
During the COVID-19 pandemic, the Greater Cleveland Food Bank is in need of donations of both the monetary and food variety now more than ever. To learn more about how you could donate to the Greater Cleveland Food Bank, visit their website at greaterclevelandfoodbank.org. It's important that we help our neighbors in need during these challenging and stressful times.
The need for blood is constant, and sometimes that need becomes critical. From accident victims and cancer patients to premature babies and those with blood disorders, hospital patients rely on all of us to make sure that blood is on the shelves and ready to help. That's why the American Red Cross needs you. Make an appointment to give blood today by calling 1-800-RED-CROSS or visit redcrossblood.org. Your one blood donation can help save up to 3 lives.
The pairing of Conrad Veidt as Cesar the Somnambulist and Werner Cross as Dr. Caligari is an interesting one, and I'll get to why here in a second. Both were two of Germany's top actors. Veidt was born January 22nd, 1893, and he had a multi-continental career, which included acting in countries like Germany, England, and the USA. His movies include The Man Who Laughs, The Hands of Orlok, The Thief of Baghdad, and Casablanca. Werner Cross was born June 23, 1884. He was primarily known as a stage actor, but was also prolific on screen, and he has well over 100 movies to his credit. Veidt was a staunch anti-Nazi, to the point where, when the German film industry were handed racial questionnaires, Veidt showed solidarity with the Jewish people by declaring himself a Jew. His wife was also one of the Jewish people. When Veidt fled Germany and went to England, he starred in several films that were very sympathetic to the Jewish people. This included Jew Sis, a film about Joseph Suss Oppenheimer, who was a banker for Duke Karl Alexander. Now, in response to this movie being released, Joseph Goebbels would pressure Terrafilm to make Jud Sis, which was had the same subject, but it was changed so it was anti-Semitic. In fact, that movie is considered one of the most anti-Semitic films of all time. In fact, director Veit Harlan was arrested post-war. The same goes for Werner Cross, who was himself anti-Semitic and Nazi collaborator and appeared in that film. So it turns out the guy who plays an authoritarian villainous jerk actually was an authoritarian villainous jerk. So in conclusion, Conrad Veidt was both a better actor and a better person. Let's go back to Cabinet of Dr. Caligari. This movie was listed as degenerate art by the Nazi Party. Now, there are many reasons to love this movie and many reasons that it's awesome, but the fact that it made Hitler mad, that's just the sweet, sweet cherry on top. Mwah! We'll be right back after these messages.
During the COVID-19 pandemic, the Greater Cleveland Food Bank is in need of donations of both the monetary and food variety now more than ever. To learn more about how you could donate to the Greater Cleveland Food Bank, visit their website at greaterclevelandfoodbank.org. It's important that we help our neighbors in need during these challenging and stressful times. Hi, I'm TV20's Dan Monroe. During this time of crisis, the Domestic Violence and Child Advocacy Center wants you to know that they are maintaining critical services while balancing the health and safety of their clients, staff, and community. As always, the DVCAC's helpline is available for safety planning and crisis intervention by calling or texting 216-391-HELP. That's 216-391-4357. If you need help or are concerned about someone in your life, you can live chat with a specialist at dvcac.org. During this time of crisis, the Emergency Domestic Violence Shelter is operating. Advocates will continue to work with victims, therapists will still be supporting clients, and the Canopy Child Advocacy Center will continue to serve children being abused. For more information, visit the Domestic Violence and Child Advocacy Center's website at dvcac.org. Thank you.
The need for blood is constant, and sometimes that need becomes critical. From accident victims and cancer patients to premature babies and those with blood disorders, hospital patients rely on all of us to make sure that blood is on the shelves and ready to help. That's why the American Red Cross needs you. Make an appointment to give blood today by calling 1-800-RED-CROSS or visit redcrossblood.org. Your one blood donation can help save up to 3 lives.
If you're looking for fiction about the duality of man, well, look no further than the comic book series Immortal Hulk, written by Al Ewing and drawn by Joe Bennett with covers by Alex Ross. This is one of the best comic books of the past few years. This is pretty much a horror comic starring the big green guy. You see, Bruce Banner dies or gets hurt, and then at night, the Hulk rises, and he wreaks gnarly havoc all over the place. And then Bruce Banner comes back to the next day, and he has to deal with all of the fallout. It features crazy body horror with pieces of the Hulk getting blown out and huge holes getting blown out, and there's one issue where his body parts are all put in these separate jars, and there's a part where he sucks a guy into him, and there's all these gnarly transformations. It's so gross and so awesome, and Hulk just smashes everything. Ugh, gets me so hype. So check it out. But in the meantime, let's go back and see the conclusion to Cabinet of Dr. Caligari. With the end of the movie and the reveal that possibly everyone is mad, it's time for the Bobby score. We have 1 star for You Must Become Caligari, 2 stars for A Stabbing in Shadows, and 2 stars for A Twisted and Jagged, well, everything. That's a total of 5 stars. Cousin Bobby says this movie reflects my demented yearning for more horror. We close today, as always, with this metal moment. All you 90s kids might remember the Rob Zombie song, Living Dead Girl, that came off of the album Hellbilly Deluxe. That video was inspired by this very movie, including all sorts of different tints, and there's all the twisted sets and everything. Rob Zombie, in that music video, plays Dr. Caligari, and his wife, Sherry Moon Zombie, was the Living Dead Girl, and she was inspired by Cesar, the somnambulist. Now, there were 2 directors on the video. There was Rob Zombie, who of course would also go on to become a horror director, but the other director was Joseph Kahn, who also would go on to become a genre director. His most recent movie was Detention. That's all the time we have for today. Big thanks goes to my production partner, Pat Longbreak, who's had to edit a whole lot of rambling footage of me. Thanks also goes to TV20, our graphic designer, Jeff Agneberg, and our research assistant, Ralston Dowse. Remember to email me at cousinbobby216@gmail.com and follow me on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at cousinbobby216. Good night, Cleveland. Remember to wash your hands, stay in your homes, and to lock your doors.
You never know who or what will visit you in the night. Sweet dreams,